everyone! This is your Western District Council. See our lovely faces in the bottom right? Not me forgetting my directions. Hand of the screen. Today we're going to do a little bit of like a chapter meeting minutes example with a template that will be released to you to use as a resource. So you'll see at the top we have our chapter meeting minutes. Feel free to replace the word chapter with the name of your chapter. And then you have a spot for the date, and then the president and secretary's name for the minutes. And then location if you want to, you don't have to. Up to you. The next thing we have is a roster, which you can expand to hold all of your actives. It'll help you mark them as present, late, absent, and then their member status. So all of us are active, but in case one of us wasn't, maybe one of us was conditional. No. Yeah, I can spell. You'd write it down there. Alright, now we're gonna start a practice meeting.
I call this meeting to order at 10:57 a.m. Can I get approval of last meeting's minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of last week's meeting as emailed with corrections.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? All abstain? Motion passes.
Just like that. Oh, he's done.
On to officer reports. Starting with President, the updates for districts and nationals are blah blah blah. Here are some updates from the sponsors and director of band if they're not here. And any other news that the president needs to get across. On to the VPM.
The VPM's report normally includes what's going on for recruitment, as well as what's going on for membership education, so pretty much what you go through with your MEP, as well as any other important events related to the job, such as special events or recruitment events, as well as just little things your chapter might do during your education process. And that's the end of the VPM report.
Moving on to secretary, it's usually just updates of when the last minutes were sent out, any updates on roster changes, and some of the things that could be included are reminders to send in your reports, because I know we all get a little forgetful sometimes. But moving on to treasurer, that's where we will talk about any account balance, as well as any fundraising. Other things to mention or note could be like reimbursements, making sure that your forms get turned in, that if you need money, you would communicate with the treasurer. And from there, we'll move it over to Vice President of Special Projects.
Yes, so back to me. The next three, the Vice President of Special Projects, Service Officer, and Social Officer, depend on what your chapter does. So you might have a VPSP, you might have it split into two. That's why we've listed all of them here. Feel free to take out the ones you don't have. So these ones will be updates to the events and their date and times. You might recap the recent events, thank people for showing up, and then any other updates like potential service opportunities that somebody in your school of music might give you. Things like that. Next, we'll move on to the historian. So this one is a great time to talk about any fun history you've discovered, any updates you've done to a chapter display your chapter might have, or the scrapbook. Anything that the historian can think of that might be important to tell the chapter. Moving on to webmaster/social media chair. You can talk about recent posts, upcoming photo shoots, upcoming posts you want people to go hype up, things like that. Then we get to focus on 5. This is depending on your chapter, an appointed, elected chair position. This will be where you update the Focus on 5 program, give out dates for new events, all your ideas for events. You might list out everything you've done already to complete the flag, just things like that. Then we're going to move on to the other committee chairs. This will be expanded depending on which committees you have. and they will give you the short update of committee activities. This last one is optional if you'd like it. Your sponsor can give you any updates from their level, and you'll just put it there if it wasn't put into the president's report earlier. Alright, we're gonna move on to the next section.
Pretty cool. For special report, this is the moment where your chapter either goes in the black into your secret talks, which means only actives of good standing, as well as the sponsor and any present life members, are able to stay inside the chapter room during this discussion. And during this time, people will just be like, oh my goodness, there's this certain event going on. We need to talk about it, or we need to do voting on certain things. And that's all done within the special report. But the actual minute notes for it is very vague because, again, TBS secrets should not be on any kind of electronic device. But end of special report, moving into open business.
On to open. This spot in the minutes or the meeting is used for any general information for the chapter. It's kind of an open floor for any person in the chapter to bring up any ideas or in general, it's a general use space. A lot of chapters use this time for programs for their chapter or any other small events they want to do. There are no votes during open business. That will be in unfinished and old business or in new business. Going into old business, this will be anything that has been tabled in previous meetings. So if you were running long on a vote last time and you decided to table anything, or a conversation started going in circles, you decided to table it, this is where you would then continue off from where you left off last meeting. New business would be a vote on any upcoming events, vote on absences if your chapter does those. Anything that requires a vote usually goes in this section. You'd vote, you do the motion system, you need a second, favor, opposed, abstains, and then you would go on to announcements.
Alright. So after those votes, and this is a personal thing that I think is good, you'd write 7 for in favor rather than names. Just write the total. Easier that way. So announcements are next, and these are going to be any announcements that the chapter has. Most of these should be put into the reports, and this section is really for the secretary to copy down the dates so that they're all in one neat place for everybody. But if anybody has any other announcements, like my department for my degree is holding this event, there will be free food, show up. That could be an example of an announcement you could put here. Doesn't have to be extremely chapter specific, although that will depend on what your chapter chooses to allow to be put here. After your announcements are all done and the dates have been copied down into one place, you can move into meeting adjournment.
Oh my goodness. I motion to adjourn this week's meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned at 11:04 a.m.
And just like that, you've been through an entire meeting. If you have any questions on how any of this works, feel free to reach out. Or you can just put a comment. I'll be checking for them. But thank you for watching on how a chapter meeting should run. Alright. Bye!